Fresh Florida strawberries only $5.99 for a 1-pound package. Fresh Purdue chicken thighs or drumsticks only $1.99 per pound. DiGiorno pizzas, 12 inches, hot price, $8 each. Bluebonnet margarine sticks, 1-pound box, only $1.69. Ajax 2X laundry detergent, 50-ounce bottle, only $5.69. All stores open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
Live from Bermuda Broadcasting, this is ZBM TV9 News.
Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, January 31st. I'm Jasmine Patterson, and thanks for joining us tonight. Topping our newscast, Minister of Public Works Colonel David Birch says low staff numbers and a shortage of trucks is to blame for the latest garbage collection interruption, and the problem may not be solved this week. Mike Sharp reports.
Residents have been complaining about the pileup of trash in neighborhoods, which is attracting vermin in some areas. During a press conference this morning, Colonel Birch explains the problem won't be solved by this week. Provisions were made to hire additional staff that was not acted on.
A section that should have 54 staff and 19 serviceable vehicles has 40 staff and 9 working vehicles on average. Clearly, this is not a situation that was created in the past 6 months, and some of the legacy issues are invited early retirement, freezing of posts, poor planning over the past few years, arbitrary reduction of budgets, and a moratorium on hiring new staff. That moratorium was lifted in August last year, and an initial complement of 5 additional waste management staff was approved in September. When I met with the waste management section on October 11th, I informed them at that time that help was on the way. Inexplicably, that request for additional staff was never executed. I'm sure you can imagine my frustration and anger at learning only recently that some 4 months later, that decision had not been acted upon. Rest assured, we are investigating to ascertain the reason for this inordinate delay, and the necessary corrective and/or disciplinary measures will be taken. Those 5 posts will be filled immediately from recent applicants, and that review has commenced this morning.
Colonel Birch made it perfectly clear the reasons behind the pileup of trash was due to almost half of the staff off the job and a meeting.
The main reason for the non-collection of waste over the last few days is due to an unusually high shortage of staff. Last Friday, we had 40% of staff unavailable due to vacation, short and long-term illness, and injuries. Additionally, a meeting was held with the BIU and staff on Friday last, which lasted most of the day, therefore no garbage was collected, to discuss various issues and challenges within the collection section, which included the availability of vehicles, repairs, sickness, staff shortages, and the proliferation of injuries. At the conclusion of that meeting, the staff agreed to work to rule, which means they return to the depot for lunch and are not working overtime. As a result of this action, significant delays and major disruption to scheduled collections this week has occurred. We are working through those issues with the union, and I have another meeting this afternoon with BIU President Furbert, and we are optimistic that the issues can be resolved by the end of this week. Clearly, there's a significant gap in the communication chain, both up and down internally, as well as efficiently communicating with the public. We have implemented new protocols to mitigate against this happening again. In the interim, I encourage residents to continue to secure their waste in lidded bins in compliance with the Waste and Litter Control Act 1987.
And I'm Mike Sharp with Bermuda Broadcasting News.
The closure of the CT scan facility at the Brown Darrell Clinic may only be temporary. Well, that's the hope of owner, former Premier Dr. Ewart Brown, as the facility shuts down operations today due to severe cost cuts. Gary Moreno tells us more.
Dr. Brown explains the Brown Darrell Clinic will remain open to provide other services, just not CT scans. But he remains optimistic that the latter could change.
I remain confident that when the health ministry reviews its payments for the next year, that it will reconsider.
He adds if and when government reconsiders its position, it will be more equitable in its approach to reducing the cost of healthcare, an initiative he says he supports, but not at the cost of him or anyone else for that matter being singled out.
The total health expenditure for Bermuda is approximately $700 million. That's a lot of money. Diagnostic imaging takes up about 5.5% of that. Why would you start there?
Dr. Brown reiterates while government did provide some assistance in the form of a grant, it was still insufficient.
The government gave us a grant of $600,000 so far, $120,000 of which came to Brown Darrell. Well, when you look at that, that's over 7 months. That's about $17,000 a month. This machine cost over $1.5 million. This is an expensive, high-cost area of medicine. And so, although we appreciate, any help we can get, and we took it, when we looked at the numbers that existed after the cut, we would have been digging a hole for ourselves.
The current state of affairs, he asserts, has not gone unnoticed by medical practitioners.
We met with the executive of the Bermuda Medical Doctors Association, led by Dr. Fountain, and once we showed them the facts, they were quite supportive. They were also concerned about the future. Who's next? And I think that the way that the Health Council is going about it is not the way to end up with a win-win, as you say. The way to end up at win-win is to have honest collaboration, consultation, not just in name only.
Government has been criticized for providing that grant Dr. Brown spoke of earlier, which some deem a handout at the request of the former premier. Not so, he says.
I'm not looking for anybody to bail me out. I made my way myself with the help of friends and teachers and what have you. I don't need anybody to bail me out. Just don't treat me unfairly. That's when I fight. I don't ask anybody for anything special. I went into this business. My wife and I invested millions of dollars in this business. I know it sounds a little unusual for black folks, but that's what we did. All right, and we invested, and we did well.
Elsewhere, Dr. Brown expressed concern at the lack of choice and the unavailability of a second CT scan machine should the one at King Edward break down. And one more thing. One of the benefits we understand of this particular piece of equipment is that it's the only one on the island capable of doing cardiac scans. Ironically, that service is going to be offered at the King Edward Memorial Hospital starting tomorrow. Gary Moreno, reporting for the Bermuda Broadcasting News.
And the BHB clarifying that its diagnostic imaging department has been working on a project to introduce cardiac CT for almost a year in partnership with BHB cardiologists, and can confirm that following a week of training starting on February 12th, the service will be introduced to the public at KEMH by referral from BHB and community cardiologists. Stay with us, there's more news to come after this short break.
Sears is Bermuda's largest home appliance store with over 200 appliances in our showroom. We have refrigerators and freezers, gas ovens and electric ranges, washers and dryers. Sears has a wide selection of craftsman's tools and accessories. Beautify your home with our lawn and garden tools. We have everything you need for outdoor entertaining. Located at 41 Victoria Street, Sears is open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sears, reliable delivery, quality service, and everyday low prices.
Ever wondered what smart health insurance feels like?
Colonial's 24/7 worldwide health insurance does most of the thinking for you.
1,500 CGI health claims are settled daily.
60% of claims settled automatically.
You can access your health plan almost anywhere, anytime.
And have smart wellness with online data tracking.
And more provider choices for you and the people who matter most.
Premier Health is smart health insurance, and it feels good.
Colonial, where people come first.
Welcome back. Government has kicked off a new campaign to raise vigilance against money laundering and terrorist financing. Addressing the media today alongside government ministers and various business representatives, Premier David Burt said fighting money laundering means cooperation with financial institutions where it concerns the filling out of paperwork, among other requests. Here's Mr. Burt talking about the campaign.
It highlights efforts underway by government, the responsible authorities, and Bermuda-based businesses to ensure Bermuda meets the highest standards for anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing and is effective in its work to fight these unacceptable crimes. This means having a strong framework to combat money laundering and terrorist financing and ensuring that we enforce the rules. In addition to educating the public, the campaign is designed to emphasize the importance of business and individuals to complete and submit documents required by financial entities such as local banks in order to satisfy key international standards. We all dislike filling in forms, but it is essential that we do it. In this context, I'd like to thank all those working to ensure that we comply with the rules. Compliance officers don't get shown much appreciation, but we really do value you.
The campaign is called Just Good Business, and you can expect ads to run over the next couple of weeks. This next one is something you don't see every day, or maybe you do. It's video taken from someone's car dash cam recently as they drove along South Road in Paget. Today, the video was tweeted by the Bermuda Police Service. You can see the driver of another car failing to stop at a stop sign and cutting in front of the driver, recording the video. But that's not all the driver of the white car does that isn't legal. Farther east along South Road, near the Bermuda College entrance, the same driver is seen overtaking a very long line of traffic and just about squeezing back into the left lane further down the line. Police say the incidents took place during morning rush hour traffic and note that they have recorded the offender's plate number and plan to call them, give them some stern advice and some traffic tickets, of course. Police are encouraging road users to change their behavior. You can follow the Roads Policing Unit at BPS RPU and our own Twitter page for news anytime at ZBM News 9. U.S. markets returned to gains today after 2 days of sharp sell-offs. The volatile price swings have some people worried that the stellar stock rally stateside is about to come to a screeching halt. But is it? Tony Waterman sought to find out.
U.S. President Donald Trump rarely passes up an opportunity to extol the astronomical rise in U.S. markets since he was elected. And last night's State of the Union address was no different.
The stock market has smashed one record after another, gaining $8 trillion and more in value in just this short period of time.
When it comes to fact-checking, this point is true. But it's not just the U.S. markets that are rallying. There's a synchronized resurgence sweeping across the globe. That should be great news for Bermudian investors, who are not only heavily exposed to the U.S. markets, but also global markets.
Not everybody thinks they are investing in the stock market, but when Bermuda decided to bring in private pensions a little over a decade ago, it means that all of us have money in global stock markets.
But the rocketed rise Mr. Trump likes to brag about has some questioning whether U.S. stocks are overvalued and whether markets are too frothy.
The U.S. market has done 15% a year for the last 5 years, so some of the valuations are getting a little stretched.
Goldman Sachs sees a high probability of a stock market correction in the coming months. So does Bank of America Merrill Lynch and investment bank Stifel. The question is, how big will the correction be?
If you look at 10% for a correction, you might get 5%. Here's what's driving the markets, not necessarily Donald Trump's popularity, but certainly his policies have been very constructive for corporate earnings, both in terms of a tax cut that is quite unprecedented.
President Trump's call for $1.5 trillion in infrastructure spending could keep the party going, although some say further jumps could be curtailed by rising bond yields.
The equity markets have been at very lofty levels because of the low yield from U.S. Treasuries. Many market participants are likely to take a cautious tone when the U.S. Treasury bond yield approaches the 3% mark.
Even if there's a steeper than expected correction in the U.S. markets, experts say it could offer up a good buying opportunity. It also helps to keep the word correction in perspective.
Your grandmother remembers the Depression. Our generation remembers the financial crisis, and that becomes a reference point. But normally when stocks correct, it isn't 50%. It's, you know, we have 1 year of 20% returns, we have 1 year of 10% returns.
Meaning, in the long term, the returns aren't half bad. Tony Waterman for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Now let's head over to the AccuWeather headquarters for the latest.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
The BF&M Insurance Group is pleased to bring you tonight's AccuWeather forecast. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brittany Boyd. I hope you had a great day today. Temperature-wise, a little bit cooler. We've only been in the 60s this afternoon, but we'll start to see the temperatures rebounding over the next couple of days. So the cold front that came through, well, it's out of here. This brought just about 0.42 of an inch of rain, so just under a half of an inch of rain. Beneficial for sure because we're still below normal for rainfall here across the island. And it's been a pretty breezy day today. We'll start to see those winds subsiding as we head into late tonight and also into our Friday as well. Looking at some of the conditions, well, this time yesterday when I was on the air, temperatures were a lot warmer. We were in the mid-60s, but right now temperatures right around 60 degrees. Humidity's at 59%, and that wind is coming in out of the north. Again, that frontal boundary passed through, so it's a cold, brisk wind. Not as windy as yesterday, but still breezy outside. Winds 12 to 16 knots. The water's sitting at 68 degrees, and outside the reef, still a bit choppy out there with waves between 7 and 11 feet. Now, heading into the forecast for tonight, temperatures are not going to drop off too much from where we are right now. We'll call it partly cloudy for tonight with low temperatures right around 60 degrees. And here we go tomorrow, a little bit better. We add a few more degrees onto our forecast. Clouds and sunshine, 66 degrees with a low of 63. Let's talk about conditions out on the water. Again, it's been very choppy over the last 24 or so hours with that cold front. At this point, we still have some marine alerts, a small craft warning through Thursday morning. So make sure you are taking it easy out there on the water. Your tidal times right here on the bottom of your screen. High tide 1 at 8:23 tonight, and high tide 2 comes in just before 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Hey, if you plan on traveling, here's a look at your travel forecast. This is for tomorrow. Toronto, up there in Ontario, Canada, 37 degrees with clouds and sunshine. We're going to see some warmer air across the East Coast here, so temperatures in New York and Boston get into the 40s. They'll have some rain, but tomorrow night there could be a rain to snow change, so it could get a little bit slippery throughout parts of the Northeast. Meantime, here out toward Jamaica, 87 degrees right now. We have some showers around and also down into the Windward Islands with temperatures in the 80s. Heading into the next couple of days, your extended forecast here, temperatures is going to go back and forth over the next few days. For your Thursday, enjoy it. Clouds and sunshine, an improvement with our temperatures. But then as we get into Friday and Saturday, we have yet another cold front coming through. So late Friday into Saturday, that's where we'll see more showers around. The winds will be picking up as well. Temperatures drop with that frontal boundary, so we'll be in the mid-60s for highs on Saturday. The second half of the weekend is looking nice on Sunday, 68 degrees, and we could be pushing low 70s into early next week.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
Are you required to take one or more medications daily but have a hard time remembering when to take them? Does your family fear you may end up in the hospital because you often forget to take your meds? Or are you a caregiver looking for a time management tool designed to make your medication routine effortless? The Phoenix stores can help. With an MDS blister pack, a multi-dose packaging system that makes it easier to manage and take your medication. Each MDS blister pack contains medications for the week and is pre-packed, sealed, and labeled by a pharmacist. Prescriptions grouped by the day and the time of day you should take them, whether at breakfast, lunch, dinner, or bedtime. Plus, to ensure you're covered, each pack includes detailed, personalized instruction. Take confidence in knowing you're using your medications as the doctor planned. Visit the Phoenix stores to chat with the pharmacist and get your MDS blister pack today. The Phoenix stores, for a better life.
It's a scourge that's taken dozens of lives and ruined scores more. For almost a decade now, gangs have brought death and grief to Bermuda. The government says combating gang crime is one of its priorities, but what is it going to do to bring the violence to an end? In a special half-hour program on ZBM, we'll be talking to National Security Minister Wayne Keynes and Gang Violence Coordinator Pastor Leroy Bean about their plans to crack down on one of the biggest social problems facing the island. Don't miss it.
The study of hope, survival, and coping with breast cancer in women of color has been examined by Bermudian guest lecturer Dr. Lynette Gibson. Tonight, Professor Gibson of the University of South Carolina will speak at a public forum at Bermuda College as part of Corange Science Week. Her mother's fierce spirit throughout a 9-year battle with cancer inspired a closer look.
I was an oncology cancer nurse, and I had other patients that were like her. And I thought, what is it, about them? So I read information on what is called sense of coherence. And if you think of an elastic band that does not break easily, it bends and is flexible. So coherence is basically understanding that difficulties happen in life, having resources to deal with them, and finding life a challenge instead of a burden.
Dr. Gibson's research also focuses on early detection and the psychology of fear. Earl Basin has the latest now from the sports desk.
Last night I indicated that the transfer window for January for English football came to an end. However, I was a day early. The transfer window for January actually came to an end at 7 p.m. Bermuda time this evening. For those of you interested in Key Wells, just to let you know, he was a substitute for Burnley in their match against Newcastle at St. James Park. Later on this evening, over my shoulder, it is expected that the executives, coaches, and players are all expected to gather as CONCACAF will host the Under-17 Women's CONCACAF Final Draw. The tournament is expected to take place in Nicaragua, April 19th through to the 29th. The draw was held at the CONCACAF headquarters in Miami Beach, Florida, and it will sort out the 8 qualified nations into 2 groups of 4 teams. The CONCACAF Women's Under-17 Championships will include a field of 8 teams from Central America, Nicaragua, who will participate as hosts, along with Costa Rica, first place finishers in the 2017 CONCACAF Central America Women's Under-17 qualifiers. The draw will also include 3 teams from North America, including Canada, Mexico, and the United States, as well as Haiti, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda as the 3 top finishers of the 2017 CONCACAF Caribbean Women's Under-17 qualifiers. We will have the results of the draw and reaction in subsequent sportscasts. Bermuda Football Association hosted their semi-annual Congress inside the Devonshire Recreation Club last night, where 2 significant votes took place, with the Bermuda Football Coaches Association becoming a full member of the Bermuda Football Association and Vasco da Gama allowed back into the football family, something that President Mark Wade was extremely pleased with.
It's fantastic. And it just shows a bit of growth. Our coaches now have a voice, a voting voice, in the actual Congress, which is significant. And, we welcome them with open arms, and we're looking for their input now at the conference level. Of course, they had input through the Player Development Committee for the last 2 years, but now, they have a voice, they have a vote, and have input at the Congress level, which is another step, I believe, in the evolution of Bermuda Football Association. As far as Vasco da Gama is concerned, I'm happy it was a robust discussion. But I'm happy that we are embracing all facets of our community and culturally diverse community that we do have. So, we can turn back the clock a little bit and have Vasco now participate in our leagues and hopefully adding a bit of intrigue into obviously the first division first and then the Premier Division after. So we're looking forward to that as well.
With the Australian season 1 month into the second half, we now take a look at Dowray Rollins' numbers. Playing in 5 different competitions, Rollins has scored a total of 531 runs. In the bowling department, Rollins has taken a total of 35 wickets. This after bowling a total of 180.4 overs. He has 28 maidens and has given up a total of 696 runs for a strike rate of 31 with an average of 19.9 and an economy rate of 3.9. Rollins has held on to 7 catches in the 5 competitions and he has assisted on 3 runouts. Trey Mallory began competing in the Broward Junior Tennis Championships in Coral Springs Level 7 action in Florida. Mallory was competing in the boys under 18 singles division. In the round of 32, Mallory defeated Zachariah McDougall in straight sets 6-love, 6-1. Mallory would advance to the round of 16 where he faced off against the number 2 seed, Nicholas Saicedo, and he defeated him 6-3, 6-3. Quinay Otterbridge and Dej Miners competed at the 2018 BU John Thomas Terrier Classic hosted at the Boston University. Otterbridge competed in Heat 6 of the women's 500-meter dash, finishing 5th with a time of 1:21.47, which saw her finish 24th overall. Miners finished 21st competing in the men's mile, crossing the line in a time of 4:06.59. The Bermuda Snooker League season resumed with 3 matches on tap. Watford Sports Club defeated Royal Artillery Association 3-2. After the first 2 matches, the score between the two were tied at 1-1. This after Keno Zool defeated Kyle Williams 50-36, but then Zool would fall 77-37 to Williams in their back-to-back games. Winslow Smith would put Watford Sports Club back in front when he defeated Jelani Hollis 53-42, and then Aaron Bean would give them a 2-point lead when he defeated Chakal Washington 63-25. The Royal Artillery Association would win the doubles 60-26 as Washington and Hollis would defeat Smith and Bean. In other action, it was Spanish Point Boat Club number 2 team defeating Workman's number 1 team 3-2, and Spanish Point Boat Club's number 1 team defeated Sands Boat Club number 2 team 4-0. In Commercial League bowling action inside the Work Lanes, it saw the BPS Blue Lanterns defeat the Sunset 4-0. Sweet Life got by the Pin Pushers 3-1, while the Spinners defeated the Superstars 3-1. 10 Pin Mafia defeated BTC 3-1, while the Secret Weapons got by the Braves 3-1, and We Do It Big defeated Cool Runnings 3-1. I'm Earl Baisden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
You can count on us.
Your choice of potatoes, 5-pound bag, only $4.49. Fresh certified Angus beef, high-round roast, only $5.99 per pound. Grace corned beef, 12-ounce tin, only $3.49. Ringo pasta sauce, 24-ounce jar, hot price, only $2.79. Old-time honey wheat sliced bread, 20-ounce loaf, hot price of only $3.99. All stores open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sunday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour program is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits program. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, it's now they're looking forwards and actually looking where they're going because they've realized, oh, I know where my hand is. I can do this without looking at my hand.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
This just in from Earl Baisden, Bermuda has been drawn in Group B of the CONCACAF Women's Under-17 Finals, which will take place in Nicaragua. Also drawn in Group B is the United States of America, Canada, and Costa Rica. Earl will have reaction from the BFA president in tomorrow's sports report. Police again reminding the public tonight to remain vigilant against phony emails and telephone calls from thieves attempting to steal personal information. The Organized and Economic Crime Department has yet again received reports from local residents of telephone calls from unknown persons claiming to represent Microsoft Windows. But in a new variation of the scam, the unknown callers are also contacting unsuspecting residents stating that they represent the Bermuda government. However, these deceptive calls are believed to come from overseas. The intent is to convince residents to provide remote access to their computer using the excuse that the computer has some type of problem, which the caller states they will fix. Once remote access is granted, the caller asks the resident to log on to their electronic banking, where funds are eventually stolen. In the event the caller's computer access request is challenged or refused, the fraudster is known to make threats, including suggesting that the contacted person could be sent to jail for not cooperating. Suspected internet fraud should be reported to the Financial Crime Unit on 247-1757. And that's our broadcast for this Wednesday evening. Thanks for tuning in with us. I'm Jasmine Patterson. Good night.